All right, what is going on, everybody? We're gonna have some fun tonight. We're gonna do a live with good friend Patrick Aaron Long. We're gonna talk about recruiting and all kinds of cool stuff. So let me just get him on here, and we will be ready to kick this thing off. All right. Awesome. Jerry, what's going on, man? We got Tersh
Hey,
hanging in the house with us tonight.
hey,
Patrick Aaron Long, welcome.
thanks for having me. Yeah, here, let
Absolutely.
me just double, triple, quadruple check. We got good audio here,
Good to go, man.
and I'm gonna make sure. Ooh,
Cool, man. We
all
are
right,
good to go. So,
everybody
yeah.
there? Good deal. All right.
All
Let me
righty.
make sure I turn my notifications off, right?
Cool. Awesome, guys.
Which are you on your laptop or are you on a phone?
I'm on my phone. It's actually the only way you can do it.
Good deal.
So, for anybody watching that's curious about how to do one of these where you bring somebody else on camera, you actually can't do it from your laptop. So, you got to do it from your phone.
I forgot about that.
Yeah. So,
You
Tersh,
can go live on a laptop.
that is true.
Can't invite anybody though, right?
No. So, we got
Awesome. Yeah, we've got Tersh, Adam. Who else do we have here?
all kinds of
If
people.
you're here, drop a comment. Let us know that you're here and that you're listening.
Cool. Awesome. So, yeah, I mean, we already got a decent amount of people on here. So I think let's just start kind of rocking a little bit. So last week I did a live, or yeah, it was last week. Last week I did a live.
Yeah.
I wanted to share a little bit about using Facebook jobs and some of the very basic things out there that that home service companies can use for hiring. And I got a ton of comments on it. I got a ton of people that just messaged me, and Patrick was on the live, just like posting a ton of stuff, adding a ton of value. And I had a couple of people afterwards. They're like, "Man, you got to do another one, but bring him on so that we can ask specific questions." And so
Yeah.
that's what we're doing tonight, guys. So I heard you, and now we have Patrick on with us. Just a quick intro for Patrick. I mean, he has so this is what he does for a living. So he runs a company called BizPal,
Yeah.
and he helps home service companies find amazing employees. And has placed how many people have you placed, or how many applicants?
Oh my goodness. Yeah. At this point, we've got over 10,000 applicants in our system. So we've been able to help a lot of contractors find good people in their market.
Nice, awesome, man, dude. That's huge. I mean, we work with tons of home service companies, and one of the biggest issues, well, they have two issues, right? It's they need more leads, and then they
Yeah,
need more people to serve those leads, and they go hand in hand, because you can
they
have
really
all the
do.
leads in the world, but if you don't have the employees to serve those leads, or the right employees to serve those leads in those customers, then what's it matter? We can get all the leads in the world, but if they're not doing some of the stuff that we're going to talk about tonight to find new employees.
Yeah. Well, it's going to cost you money, right? I mean, either way, if there's not a proper balance there. I mean, if you've got a ton of extra guys sitting around, you're paying them, right, to do nothing, right? They're not actually generating an income for you. And at that point, they're an expense. They're not, an asset. And quite frankly, if they're sitting around and there's not enough work, they're going to start looking for somewhere else to work, right? So they can fill out their own
Yeah.
schedule, and vice versa. I mean, the other way around, like you got too many leads, you got so many customers, you're technically overpaying in marketing and advertising. You got so many customers you can't serve. You're wasting money there
Yep.
too, right? So either way you go, not a recipe for success. So the perfect recipe, of course, is to create that balance, which means you're going to have a plan. You're going to have a
Yep.
strategy, and you're going to have to execute on that consistently. And that's what we're going to talk about
Awesome, man.
today.
Well, let's get into it. Yeah, Adam, what, 10K? Hell yeah, you know it, brother. He's killing it. So,
Yeah, absolutely.
Keith.
Yeah, and as Keith, yes, we are helping companies in Canada. So specifically plumbing, heating, cooling, electric, skilled trades. I mean, that's really what we focus in on. That's our niche. I come from a contracting family. I've worked in plumbing. I've worked in HVAC. So skilled trades is what I know best, and that's who we serve.
Awesome. Cool. Yeah, likewise. I mean, it works perfect, right? Because we do the same thing. I mean, we serve pretty much exclusively home service. We do some other local service businesses, and we do well for them, but our primary is the same as yours. So awesome, man. We
Yeah,
got
absolutely.
Alan. How's it going, man? We got Alan over in Australia. Um,
Australia,
Valerie.
yes, and we do have a couple clients in Australia as well now. So we've just brought on our actually our second client the other day in Australia as well.
Cool.
So
All right. So, yeah,
pretty
let's kick this thing off. We want to respect you guys' night. We appreciate all of the people that are joining live to hang out with us a little bit today. So, let's get into the meat of this, um, and start giving you guys some valuable information. So, Patrick, let's recap real quick about a couple of the basic things that they can be using. A lot of people ask about Facebook jobs, how to do that. I mean,
Mhm.
let's start with one or two of the basics. Like, what's one or two of the things that the easiest possible things to do that people in the home service industry aren't doing to attract new employees or great employees?
Yeah. Yeah, so I mean, obviously, there's a lot of the traditional. There's job boards, right? And there's a lot of different options out there as to what you can do. And I feel like most people are beating that drum, like they've got a job board placement of some sort that they're already doing. But of course, we talked about the Facebook jobs. That's a kind of a secret hidden gem. It didn't come out until about a year and a half ago, and most pages they've never not even activated it. So you kind of have to do some digging around in the back end of your Facebook page, go to your settings, look at your tabs, and you actually have to sometimes manually add that tab to your site or to your page, and then you list your jobs there in Facebook jobs. But so that was kind of one of the secret hidden gems that we talked about more in depth on that last live. But there's a number of things that people could be doing, contractors could be doing, and some of them are kind of uncommon. You wouldn't typically think that this is a recruiting method or a recruiting strategy or a resource that'd be available to you for that. The most commonly used, in applications for, customer leads, right? So those are some of the things that we're going to talk a little bit about. Some things that translate from customer marketing over to applicant marketing,
Yeah,
recruiting.
got to be doing both, right? Like we said at the beginning, you got to have both sides of the puzzle. You have to have leads to be able to turn into new customers, and then you got to have employees or amazing employees to fulfill your core values and serve those customers. So, yeah, I'm sure that everybody here is dying to know, like, all right, like how the hell do I get more
Yeah,
employees? So as we get rocking and rolling here, post in the comments, and I'll make sure that I'm getting this stuff
yeah,
answered during it. But yeah, post in the comments, like, what are you doing right now, or what are your
yeah.
biggest
What are
frustrations?
you
What are you
using?
using? What do you have questions about? Like, hey, should I be using Indeed? Should I be using LinkedIn? Should I be using Facebook? Post those questions and we'll get them answered for you. If we don't answer them in the live tonight, we'll get them answered as a follow-up to you. So,
Yeah,
I don't know, Patrick, where do you want to start? Like, uh,
yeah. Well, I would say, I mean, first and foremost, to understand what to do about recruiting, you really have to understand the problem, right, in this industry with recruiting. And I mean, number one, we've got a limited labor pool. I think that's pretty commonly known. Guys are aware of that. Several years back, they cut out, shop and woodworking, and all the skilled vocational type schools started to dry up. So, you've got that problem that you're going to have to identify. And that's really forced some increases in labor costs. So there's an aspect of your business that you're really going to have to look at carefully, and that is, are we paying guys enough, right, to attract them? Are we giving competitive benefits, right, with the other companies that are in the area? And there's a lot of resources that are out there. You can go to Indeed even and look at what the average pay is in your area for an HVAC tech or for a plumber, and that will kind of give you an idea as to whether or not you're being competitive enough, right? So limited labor pool, it means you're going to have to be more competitive, right? That's just kind of how it is. The other problem that I see with contracting is a lot of us have a reactive approach to recruiting versus a proactive approach. And so what I mean by that is, unfortunately, and if this is you, if this is you, just, write in the comments like guilty as charged, right? But we're reactive, right? So we wait until there's the need, right? Oh my goodness, I need to hire somebody. Somebody left, somebody got fired, somebody's going to leave, something of that nature, but now I need to hire. So you've waited till the last minute. You've not had a proactive approach up until that point. So that's the second problem. The third problem is a poor job post strategy, right? We put out there, hey, we are this company. We're looking for these kind of people, in this kind of area. And if you meet ABC, XYZ, yada, 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 blah, 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 and all these duties and responsibilities and long lists of stuff nobody wants to read, send me your resume, right? So if that's you and you've posted a job like that, again, we're this kind of company, we're looking for these kind of people. If you meet all these requirements, send me your resume. Just let us know. Like, man, you hit the nail on the head. That's me, right? So poor job post strategy is the third most common problem that I see. And I actually have a resource that I like to give anybody who's watching this, whether it's live or a replay. I literally am just going to give you my template, right? Like our job post template that we've used to attract over 10,000 applicants. I will give it to you.
Oh, dude, you're not supposed to tell them that so
can,
early. We got to make them wait for it. We did.
There you go.
We did.
Darn it.
Yeah,
I forgot.
I did. I don't know if I convinced him where he was going to do it anyway, but he is going to give away the template that they use for their postings. So how to basically make the perfect job posting template. So that's going to be awesome. You got that coming to you very soon. And you bring up a lot of good points about you got to prepare, you got to have a strategy, you got to be proactive, you got to pay attention to what you're putting out there. And we're in an interesting economy right now. Most of the really good people that we're all looking for, they're not even looking for jobs necessarily. So you have to be a little bit more aggressive, and we have to do some additional kind of outreach. And really, we're going to talk a little bit about marketing your brand for future employees, because you've got to be doing this just like you would for leads, just like you want to grow your brand and your market for potential customers. You got to be paying attention to this stuff as far as who you're going to attract. So social media is a huge one for that, as far as connecting with those people that aren't necessarily actively searching.
Absolutely. Yeah. And that's where, we'll talk about, the two key strategies, right, are kind of opposite sides of the same coin, right? And that's inbound versus outbound. And, that translates into marketing as well. So, I mean, they're a perfect kind of dovetail right there. Very, very, very similar. And how important it is to have an inbound strategy, which most people have some of the common core pieces of already, but also implementing the outbound strategy in addition to that. And that's where we were talking about, the Facebook jobs is great. There's an inbound strategy. If people are looking for jobs through Facebook, they can find them. Facebook even has, some smart technology built in that'll actively invite people, similar to like a ZipRecruiter. So in other words, if, you've got a plumbing job or something like that, and you get that Facebook jobs listing put on your page and you put your plumbing job out there, Facebook is going to put that in the newsfeed almost instinctively. They know who's looking around on Facebook jobs, right? And they know who's in the plumbing industry, so they can kind of instinctively put that in front of people in your area that might be a good fit. But in addition to that, we mentioned sponsoring the job, right? Getting it in front of the people who are in your area who have a similar interest. And that's about the best that Facebook has to offer right now, is interest targeting. Unless you have a ton of data like we do to put behind that and get it in front of very specific niche groups. That's an option to boost it, get it out to more people in your area. And that's an outbound, right? So that's combining the inbound and the outbound. Getting more of a paid sponsored type, headhunting, right? If you would, aggressively finding these people, if that makes sense.
Yeah. So, great. Outbound, right? So let's go down that just a little bit deeper. So, we run Facebook ads for a lot of clients. We help, we do this much of the recruiting piece where you do, this much giant piece of it.
Yeah.
So talk about,
it's what we do every day.
Talk about interest targeting, right? Because a lot of people think that when you go to sponsor or boost a job post, that if you're hiring for an HVAC tech, you would target people just with that interest. Talk about that real quick. Is that correct? Is it incorrect?
Yeah. Well, it would be incorrect, especially because what happens is the market is too narrow, right? I mean, if you were targeting everybody in the United States, right, or in the United States, Canada, and Australia with an HVAC, job title, HVAC technician or whatever, you might, be able to get away with that. But what happens is if you're looking at just, a particular market like Cincinnati, and you just use, I just want to get in front of people with the job title HVAC tech, Facebook's going to shoot it down because it's too specific, right? It's just there's going to have no success. It won't even display your advertisement. So you have to go with something that's a little bit more broad. Again, unless you had a ton of data on, let's say 3,000 HVAC technicians specifically, right? That would be enough data to narrow it down to, this is who I'm looking for in this very particular market. But yeah, without that, I mean, Facebook is just gonna, like I said, shoot it down because it's too specific.
Got it. So you want to be, and one of the things that we've learned is when you're doing that interest targeting, you're not always just going for that one person, right? You're not always just going for the person you're trying to hire, because you want to show up in front of people's moms and sisters and cousins and grandfathers and dads, because they're going to share it. They're going to tag their friends in it. I mean, that's a great thing about social media. They're going to share it. They're going to tag people. So you want to be careful about when you're doing, if you're doing the basics in Facebook jobs and sponsoring or boosting those posts, be careful with interest targeting. You don't just want to go for HVAC technician because, like Patrick said, it's just too specific, and you're not going to get much. So here,
and I don't know if you're familiar with this or not, but they say that about 50% of the time, women make the decision directly, right? And about 90% of the time they're involved, right? And I can tell you from personal experience, my wife has been very influential in the past in what career paths I take. So you don't want to exclude, women thinking that, well, your highest success rate is going to come from men. I've seen it time and time again. They'll tag their husband, guaranteed.
Awesome, man. So let's here. I'm gonna read off a couple little questions and stuff. So Adam asked, how often are people underpaying? And then we got Robert in there right afterwards, who says, we pay extremely well, have a lot of benefits. Your workaround is a great training program and advancement, and they're still having a hard time finding decent employees. So those two kind of go hand in hand. So, I mean, how often do you see it? And do you have any input on how to overcome that?
Yeah, absolutely. Yep. So I say this, and this is something that I work with every client individually on, and that is establishing, what is your value as an employer, right? So, smaller companies that are like, I'm not sure if I'm the best paying company or we have all the best benefits or whatever that might be. But here's the case. If you look at the trades as a whole, like let's just take HVAC as one specific industry. If you look at your market, okay, for HVAC, like how many contractors are there, let's say where are you at, Denver? Or you're closer? Yeah, okay. So how many HVAC contractors in Denver?
Oh,
just
hundreds.
A guess.
Yeah.
Hundreds, right? So you got 100 plus. What do you say the average company is? Like 3, 4, 5 guys?
Yeah, probably like average.
That? Okay. So let's say there's 500 HVAC technicians then in the Denver area.
Yeah.
Is that reasonable?
Let's go with that.
Okay. So what percentage of HVAC companies do you feel like would have, medium or top level pay?
Very few.
Yeah, I would say probably 20% is really that's pretty generous. So you've got then about 100 HVAC technicians that would benefit from hearing your message. Do you see where I'm going with that? Here's the thing. So whether you're a smaller company, bigger company, doesn't matter. The problem is getting the message out there to the right people at the right time. That's really what it is. Like you could be the big company with all the great benefits and all the great message and stuff like that. But when you limit yourself to just putting it out there on a job board, right? That's an inbound strategy. You're actually reducing yourself to a very, 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 very small, very slim percentage of the market, because like how many people are in Denver total?
There's like 700,000 in Denver and like 3.1 in Denver Metro.
Holy, yeah. So there you go. 3.1 in the whole Denver area. And we just said there's 500 HVAC technicians, right? Now, what percentage of those 500 HVAC technicians are looking for a job?
Probably not a lot. And especially not the good ones. The good ones aren't looking.
Exactly. Yeah. So 1 or 2. So like I said, you've gone from 3.1 million to 500 down to a few, right? And then, like you said, you got this question of, man, if they're looking for a job, how good are
Mm-hmm.
they, right? So that's where, it is. It's just all about getting your message out there in front of the right people at the right time, whether they're looking or not, right? There is a percentage, a much higher probability that they're going to benefit from hearing about your benefits and your pay and what your culture has to offer, so on and so forth, than, reducing yourself all the way down to the few that are looking
Yeah.
actively.
So, I mean, that's where I'll add one thing that we do for a lot of our so paid Facebook clients is we encourage them to create a what it's like to work here video or kind of an about us, and we
Absolutely.
push that out constantly. I mean, we're always pushing it out, and we do target a little more on the interest on that side because maybe this guy and this girl aren't looking for a job today. But 6 months down the road, when they see 3 or 4 or 5 videos that you've done about your culture and they get to see behind the scenes on
Absolutely.
social, that one Monday when they walk into work and they look around and they're like, what the hell am I doing here? Like, this place sucks. Or the time that, that owner or that
Yeah.
boss is they're just not getting along with them. That Monday morning when they walk in, they're going to be like, oh man, like I saw ABC HVAC company for the last 6 months and it looks like an amazing place to work. That's part of that proactive strategy that you're
Perfect.
talking about. And
Absolutely. Yeah. Getting that message out in front of the right people at the right time. And the key there is the right time. Like, when is the right time? You just never
yeah,
know. Right. And as you're saying, if you've got that proactive strategy where you're constantly putting that content out there on a regular basis, you just never know that day, right, that they see that's when it
yep,
clicks, and that's when it hits, and that's when they say, you know what, I'm done with this place. I'm tired of the inconsistent paychecks, right? This is a huge motivator. So these are some huge motivators. If you're watching this right now, like, tune in, like, write this stuff down, right? But, like, inconsistent paychecks, like, there's a problem in the industry, right, with contractors in consistently paying their technicians or their staff, right? Culture is a huge motivator, right? Guys want to work with a company that feels like family, right? Is fun, is flexible, right? Helps to kind of, support them. You know what I'm saying? Like, invest in their training, invest in their future, support them, support time with their family. That's another big
yeah,
motivator. Work-life balance, right? Like, guys are out there working 24/7. It's 1, 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock in the morning. They're running calls and they're just fed up with, the constant go, go, go and just being used, right? I mean, they're a cog in the wheel, right? They're a piece of the system. They're just, used and abused. Now you've got your message floating out there that, you're offering, limited on-call schedules because you're well-staffed, you're a bigger company. Just throwing that out there. I mean, these are key benefits, key motivators that get these guys from one company to the
yeah,
next.
yeah, 100%. And so just kind of like I want to wrap up a little bit on this section, and then I want to go into some tactics on the other side of the world, right? Like, let's talk about, we've kind of
Yeah.
talked about Facebook and stuff like that. I'm interested to hear about the other things. So just kind of wrapping up a little bit on this section right here and to recap it. And then we got a couple questions that I'm going to ask you from like
Yeah.
Craig and Louise. And so
I see Craig. Yep.
I'll ask you those in just a second. But I mean, um, this is how I kind of wrap up everything that you just said. I mean, it's really important to have an amazing culture because that's going to attract people. But we're not going to talk about culture today. That's a whole different topic.
It's tough.
Um,
It's a big buzzword. Yeah. But, well, I'll say this. It's not just about attracting them. It's about retaining them too. And that's the other side of this is, you spend a lot of money, you spend a lot of time, you spend a lot of effort, attracting customers. You definitely have a retention plan, right? And a continuation of remarketing to them and bringing them back into, a relationship with your company. This is exactly the same for applicant marketing, right? Guys focus sometimes too much on how to get the guy, right? And they're not focusing enough on how to keep the guy.
yeah.
And, a prime example of that is, the hiring bonus, but not anything that is like, enough to keep them there. Does that
Oh
make
yeah.
sense? So that's why you see a lot of these guys bounce around from one company to the next. They'll take the hiring bonus, they'll go over to this company. It's no bueno. They don't like it. They're going to be right back to the next
Yep.
company. So you really have to think about the retention side of things as well, and that's where culture comes in. It's a huge
Yeah.
benefit in keeping
So
guys.
yeah, we won't go down that path because that's a whole different conversation.
Yeah,
But pay
that's a whole other
yeah,
Facebook
but
Live.
pay attention to your culture. I mean, if you're losing people, if your retention rate for employees is low, do what you would do just like with customers. If your customer retention rate is low, you're going to solve the problem. So if that's an issue for you, you need to solve that. And so when you have a great culture that people want to work in, the missing link that a lot of people miss is connect it. So from the outbound strategy that we kind of just talked about, you've got to make sure that you're pushing that out. So use video, use live, create an about us, what's it
Absolutely.
like to work here video, and 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 push that out to people. So make sure that you one have the good culture, and then really all you have to do is showcase it, and the rest is easy. So we got to.
Yeah.
I got a couple questions here for you. So Louise, sponsor a job. I mean, if you want to talk just real quick, Patrick, on like, how to do that. And then if people have more specific questions, we can, I can record a little video showing them exactly how, but just touch on that real quick, like how to sponsor a job.
Yeah, yeah. So, I mean, there's a number of ways to do that. I mean, and without getting too complex into, Facebook ad manager accounts and, setting all that noise up. One thing that we talked about in that last live video was getting your Facebook jobs feature activated. Sometimes it's already active on your site or on your page, but a lot of times, like I said, you got to go to settings, you got to check your tabs, and then add the jobs tab to your Facebook page. And then at that point, you can create a job. It goes out into Facebook's job listings, and then you can actually boost or sponsor that. And that's we talked more about that in depth on that last one or in that last live video. But that's kind of the nuts and bolts of it. The other alternative to that would be you can just create the post on your page just kind of natively, and then there should be a little blue button down into the bottom right after you've posted to your page, and it should say boost. Same thing. I mean, you can click boost, select your area that you want to promote the post into, and that is, I want more impressions. I want more eyeballs on that post. That's really what that's all geared to do. So again, not as complex as the Facebook ad manager, but that's the really super simple way to increase impressions right away.
Cool.
On your jobs.
Awesome. Great answer to that. And we actually have a call set up with you and Randy tomorrow, so I can give some additional information for her if she needs it. So Craig, do you have tips for how to fill the pipeline when you're going to hire in the near future? Basically, if I'm interpreting your question right, you're saying, how do we keep an active pipeline, even if we're not going to hire today? How do we kind of start interviewing applicants? Yeah. And does this work, or does it just annoy applicants?
Yeah. So, I mean, that's the thing is you've got to be proactive and you have to be intentional, right? And he's hit the nail on the head there. I mean, it is a pipeline. It is a funnel. It is just like your customers, right? So here's one thing that guys tend to overmiss. So this is kind of like a little trade secret, little tip here. A lot of guys look past this, but you've posted jobs before in the past and you've gotten applicants before in the past. So people people have expressed interest in your jobs previously. Maybe, it wasn't a perfect fit at that time, or it wasn't great timing then, but, one thing you can do is keep track of that and go back to those people and remarket to them when you have another opening. But always be reaching out, right? Always, like I said, it's inbound and it's outbound. It's got to be both, right? But always be reaching out, always be looking for employee referrals as another example. And dating, we talked just a second ago about the culture, right? One of the best things that you can do to prove that you have an excellent work culture is ask for reviews from your employees. Like, I mean, such a simple little thing guys overlook it. They think, no. Facebook reviews and recommendations, that's just for customers. Google reviews, that's just for customers. Yelp reviews, same thing. Ask your employees for feedback, right? First and foremost, ask them what they love about the company. You were mentioning that. Get it into a video if you can. But if they're giving you good feedback about your company, ask for reviews. Ask for them to share that publicly. That is going to attract other employees to come work for your company, right? And when they make a review on Facebook, it's public, right? So all of their friends see that. Well, who do you think their friends are? They're friends of the guys that they were working with at the last company.
Yeah.
Right. And they're there talking about how great it is to work for, Rodney Bailey. Right. It's great to work with Rodney and his company. It's amazing. The culture's wonderful and yada, yada, yada. Well, all their friends are going to see that. And they're going to think, man, I'm still stuck at this crummy job. And Tim left and he's happy. Why don't I just see if, Rodney's going to hire me? You see what I'm saying there? So reviews, referrals, huge. Testimonials from your employees. Yes. Just as much as you want to get them from customers, you want to get those things from your employees too.
Awesome, man. Very, very good. So yeah, Nancy's brought up a couple of good points about how big of a deficit there is in the trades right now. Completely agree with that. Justin, in your experience, what key points do you want to mention in your job post? So actually, Justin, when Patrick gives away something at the end of this, or when he shares their perfect posting, he's going to answer that. So just make sure that you get that. If not, I can get it to you soon. So let's shift gears a little bit, right? So we talked a lot about more of a long-term strategy, right? Attracting, making sure that you're doing the things to attract those A players. But what about for people that are watching right now that are like, man, I got to start posting something. I need somebody right now. I need those people that are actively looking. Let's start talking about, where do you post this stuff? And then we'll kind of wrap up with like, what do you actually post in the perfect post? And then we'll share your perfect job posting. So where do I post my job right now?
If you need applicants right now, I would have said ideally you started posting a few months ago, right? And that's the thing, and that's where the singular most important thing for anyone to get out of this is be proactive, right? Have a plan, have a strategy, and implement it consistently, right? Don't wait till last minute until Jim Bob is quit and he's out the door, and oh my goodness, what are we going to do? We need a plumber, right? So be proactive, think ahead. When your busy season is coming up, right? When you need to start hiring. So get some posts out there, get your job listings out there, start calling people up, start marketing to them, and that's what it is, right? It's marketing, but start marketing to them in advance if you can. If you're stuck in this position where, a guy's here today or was here yesterday and gone today, I can understand, like, that's, oh my gosh, right? I mean, we're crapping bricks now at this point. But in that case, you're going to want to go all out, right? And you're going to want to implement a diverse plan like right away. Okay, like there's no time to wait around on this. There's no like I'll get to it next day or the day after or whatever. Like you're going to have to put it all out there. So obviously you've got tons of opportunities to post to here, there, and everywhere, right, through all the different job boards. But you might want to look at some radio. You might want to look at some flyers. You might want to look at, some states have actual mailing lists that you can get together of like, licensed plumbers or licensed technicians or whatever it might be. You're going to want to get a mailer out there, like everything. You see what I'm saying? It's like, it's not any one thing. The secret is it's all of them, right? And, the guys who are doing really, really well are the ones who implement a plan and have it all kind of scheduled out. And they've got their mailers going out and they've got their ads going all the time. And they've got a careers page set up on their site, and they've got SEO driving traffic to that career page. They've got pay-per-click ads that are going at peak season. They're working with us. Obviously, we've got our own system that we can implement for you. But the truth of the matter is, if you're waiting till the last minute, you're already too far behind. And at that point, it's like you got to go out there like all guns blazing. That's the only option you got, right? But yeah, stop making excuses. Like I said, it's not going to happen tomorrow. Stop waiting till the next day. Do it now while you're not looking. And then when you are looking, you're like, hey, I don't have a problem. What do you know?
Awesome, man. That's amazing. That's great stuff. So I mean, really, it's like driving this point home, right? If you need people and you're not doing some of this proactive stuff, start today, because you're still going to need people in 3 or 4 months. So don't wait any longer to start this stuff today that we've been talking about. I'm going to answer 1 or 2 of these real quick on here, so we make sure we got them. Craig, or actually, I'm going to answer this one first. So Robert asked if you should be kind of refreshing those posts on Facebook for jobs. I mean, absolutely, once a month. The posts only last for 30 days until you have to resubmit it. I mean, my thoughts, and you can add into this since you do this a lot more than I do, but yeah, change up the picture, change up the content a little bit, like just kind of keep it fresh, change up the ad copy or the copy that you're
imagery.
So change up the image, put something different. And then let's see, Craig asked, is there any special ways to make a small company look good? So small companies trying to attract really, really good talent. Any tips on that?
Absolutely. Yeah. This is what I love. Okay. So here's the thing is like, whether you're a small company or big company, everybody has their own unique value points, right? You don't always have to be bigger, better, greater than, or whatever. Like if you're a small company, maybe your value is, the personable relationships that you have with all of your team members, right? That's something that larger companies maybe don't have, right? Where they're more systematized and compartmentalized, and you're just one guy in a big org chart of a bunch of other guys, right? So smaller companies tend to have more personable relationships with their staff, but they also offer faster career growth and advancement opportunities. Typically, right? They're more flexible, than big, rigid companies. This is your set schedule. That's all there is to it. So everybody has their own unique value, right? You just have to determine like what are the opportunities that you have, and why is that good for any one particular person? Does that make sense? Like there's a lot of different ways to go about that. It's just, it takes time to really dig down to figure out exactly what that is.
Yeah, absolutely.
And Justin asked, when is now a good time? Yeah. Like now. That's the best time. Now.
Justin's got the Tony Robbins. When is now a good time to do this? Now. So
exactly.
Okay. Yes. So Rodney had a cool point. Create a bench. You're basically creating a bench so that way you can pull those players off that bench when you're ready to hire them. And Adam asked, when doing those testimonial videos of employees, should they mention that they're an employee? So I think, Adam, if I'm interpreting your question correctly, you're saying somebody that actually writes a review or recommendation on the business, should they mention they're an employee? And one thing,
absolutely,
always be honest, right? So mention that they work here. It's a recommendation, that they're super happy with it. And then in those videos, because even like Valerie says, she loves the idea of the why work here video. Obviously in there they're going to mention it, but talk about how long they've been there, what the impact it's been, and stuff like that. So awesome, Patrick. Let's talk a little bit about if you are going to post a job, and obviously people understand that they can work with a company like yours, but let's just say that tonight until midnight they want to hire. So like where should they post?
My goodness. I mean, honestly, everywhere you can, right? Like everywhere you can, because you just never know where that person's going to be looking and when, and again, like what's the right time and where are they going to be at, right? So you can't overpost this. Okay. Like there's no like, oh man, like 2 or 3 job boards, that's the limit. There's a cutoff here. There is no limit, right? I mean, you want to put yourself out there as many places as you can. And again, those are inbound strategies. So you're never really going to be too certain of where these guys are going to be and when they're going to be looking. So put it all out there. I mean, anywhere you can. That's kind of the point.
Well taken.
Of that. Yeah. And that includes, somebody asked about LinkedIn. Yeah, definitely. There's not a whole lot of the, skilled, technical type people on LinkedIn. It's more, the managers or supervisors or, company owners, because LinkedIn is still more, professional type network, but there's still an opportunity, right? There's always that chance, you know what I'm saying? I wouldn't do sponsored or paid listings there, just simply because, we've done that, we've tried it, and we wasted a lot of money.
Good to know.
It went belly up pretty fast. Yeah, and the issue there, the main issue there is very, very, very small network compared to Facebook, Instagram, other social medias. And the other issue is, again, who's on the network, right? And you get a lot of business owners, but not a lot of technicians. So it's just really tough to reach them.
So takeaway from that is post it freaking everywhere. So post it everywhere, and then make sure that, so if that's what you're going to do tonight because you're kind of desperate in this situation, post it absolutely everywhere. boost it on Facebook, but then tomorrow start working on that long-term strategy, create the about us, what it's like to work here. So make sure that you're doing all that. So
yeah, Howie mentioned take another look at LinkedIn. I would say if you have the money to invest in a LinkedIn recruiter account, that can be a huge bonus. That is extremely expensive though. And again, engagement seems to be a bit of an issue, but anything and everything is better than just kind of sitting on the couch and waiting for people to trickle in, right? That's that Howie hit it right on the nail on the head.
Yeah,
right?
and Howie,
huge net.
Look, if you have questions about culture on here, man, still getting rid of this cold, almost done. But Howie is actually here in Denver. He's got a great culture. So he's a good person to talk to if you're looking for a resource. So let's.
I would say one thing: if you're going to post a job, the message that you put out there is really important, right? You can put it out there everywhere. That's good. But the message you put out there is incredibly important. So if you do not have a persuasive job post, or if you've got a post that talks more about yourself and lists a big, long thing of, duties, responsibilities, requirements, and all that kind of stuff, you're not going to have much success no matter, if you put it in 2 or 3 places or 1,000 places. You see what I'm saying? So that really is a very critical piece of this whole thing. And that's why, I want to offer, our template to anybody on how to write a job post that attracts and engages and converts more of the right people specifically.
Awesome. Well, let's do that. Let's talk about that next. So run through I guess just the basics, because you're going to send everybody the like, what did you say? It's like 12 pages.
Yeah,
so
it is. Yeah. Well, you saw it, right? I mean, it's fun to read, isn't it?
Run through just like the basic bullets of, because everybody knows the job posting where it's like, hey, we're hiring for this, and here's the bullet points of here's the requirements, and here's what we offer. The end, you should call us, and that's kind of it. Run through just like the most important bullet points to include in kind of the perfect or the most persuasive or the most attractive job posting.
Yeah. And I really dive into this in great detail in that resource. But the first thing is, as a bullet point, right? You want to talk directly to the audience, right? It's not about me. It's not about my company. It's not about what I need or what I want. It's about you, right? Like, who are you? What are you looking for? Are you frustrated with this? Are you struggling with that? Does your employer offer you these things? Talk directly to the person that is your potential applicant, right? The other thing that I see that's really, really, really important is, urgency versus desperateness. Like, are you familiar with what I'm talking about there? Yeah. So a lot of guys will put in there, we need, right, a plumber. Help wanted, please apply, right? And that usually happens because they waited to the very last minute, right? And that's why they're asking me, like, what do you do if you need a guy like today, right? Well, don't go to the job boards and put out there that you need somebody, right? That is desperate. And someone put in here, yes, always be recruiting, or always be hiring, right? I want to stress something. Always be recruiting is different than always be hiring. Always hiring, okay, creates a perception that you have a lot of turnover. Do you see what I'm saying there? And literally, I can give you screenshot examples. I've seen advertisements and posts, right, that guys have made, and we're always hiring, right? And somebody goes, well, why would I want to apply to that job? That means that you have a lot of turnover. Like, you must have a problem keeping people. So you have to be careful about the perception that you're creating, and putting out there that you really need people and help wanted and please apply and all that kind of stuff is desperate, right? Especially if you post it 15 times in a row in the same day, okay? So the other side of that is, of course, you want to talk about your benefits, what we offer you, okay? You is a very powerful word in this whole thing. So I want people to take note of that. What we offer you, okay? And then, what they would be doing, right? So instead of the bullet point list of duties and responsibilities, like, and requirements and all that kind of stuff, we want to talk directly to them. So if it's a list of requirements, you might say something like, are you an experienced plumber, or are you a licensed plumber? Something like that. It calls out the audience that we're looking for specifically. And what was I was on a thought. Oh, benefits, what we offer you, what you would be doing,
Mm.
right, versus duties and responsibilities. So here's what you would be doing as a plumber. So kind of a brief description of, you know, the role, right? And here's what you might enjoy the most about the company. Here's what you might enjoy the most about this particular job or this role. So again, it's all you. And it's a story, it's not a list. You understand what I'm
Yeah,
saying there?
absolutely. So, yeah, I mean, I love those things. And it's so basic, right? It's so simple, but a lot of times, and I'm sure uh, I'm sure I've done it where I just, write this bullet pointed list of what it is you're going to do and stuff.
Yeah.
So, yeah, Howie, Howie mentioned something here that was pretty cool. I wrote
I,
one that looks like a personal ad, looking for a long-term relationship kind of theme, which is really cool. And Randy has a question. Says, would you recommend doing on-site team member recruiting videos or a controlled environment like your
Absolutely.
office? So I think, um, Randy, if I'm interpreting it correctly, you're saying like do on-site team member, like at a client's house or at a customer's house, doing that type of testimonial, or a controlled environment like your office. Is that how you interpret that a little bit, Patrick, or do you read that a different way?
Yeah, so I would say this. I mean, it doesn't have to be like as far as getting videos or maybe it's a video you take yourself, right? I mean, there's a lot of different pieces or different styles of video that you could put. You could do a video where you're the owner and you're talking directly to that potential applicant, saying, you know, hey, I just stop where you're at. Take a look at this. I want to talk to you for a second. If you're an experienced plumber in this market and yada, 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 blah, 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 you're not making $85,000 a year, or you're not happy where you're at, or you're being overworked, underpaid, whatever it is. So you could do that kind of video. Or you can do the, employee testimonial videos, where they talk about who they are, what company they work for, how long they've worked there, and what they love the most about the job. Either way you go, it doesn't have to be, extremely cinematic, right? It doesn't have to be polished and perfect. And, sometimes the best video that we've seen by way of, getting results and applicants in, the best performing video that we've seen is shot from an
Hmm.
iPhone, right? I mean, it's not super, like I said, super polished or cinematic or anything like that. It doesn't have to be. And in fact, authenticity sometimes is better than, that polished stuff, if that
Yeah.
makes sense. I mean, they want something real. They want something that they can connect with. Yeah. So that would be my recommendation is, you can do that if you want to, or you can just, I'm saying, I'm not saying wing it, but you can, you know, there's no excuse, right? You don't have to
Yeah.
have, all the lights and cameras and everything perfect and all that. Yeah, you don't have to, you don't need any of that to get it done.
Yeah.
Just get it done. Just get the
Yeah,
content out
most of the
there.
time, those perfectly polished videos, with the guy or the girl in the perfect suit and uniform that like has never had dirt on it or anything. I mean, people know that that's just not real, so they don't trust it as much. So
Yeah,
I think Howie or somebody mentioned,
exactly. Make it
yeah,
real.
be transparent, be real, um, and so that just echoes that. So cool. So Randy, that answered
Perfect.
yours. So basically both. Do some on site, do some in the office.
Yeah.
All of those are really good things.
You could, yeah, you can test it out. I mean, but what we've seen in the advertisements that we place, the best performing are the videos that, not necessarily, super cinematic or well polished, but
Yeah.
real, and authentic. This is a real message, yeah, again, that's the perfect message is make it
Awesome.
real. What do you really want to say?
Cool. So,
Be yourself.
yeah, thank you. That you're right. So, I
Poor
know,
guy.
man, I know I had this cold last week or like, it's been like 2 weeks, but I just have this dry cough. I mean, I'm drinking like 7 cups of tea and stuff here, but, uh, what are you going to do? Always serve, always push through. So
That's right.
let's talk last about the website and some of the other ways to drive people to
Yeah.
it. I mean, the number one thing on a website, right? Have a careers page, have a hiring page, make it attractive,
Yeah.
not just like, hey, put your resume in here. Nobody's going to do that. Nobody's just going to dump a
You-
resume in there. So talk a little bit about what
Yeah.
that looks like.
Yeah. Absolutely. I was gonna say first and foremost, that's one thing that guys miss the boat on. I very, 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 very rarely see anyone with a careers or jobs page on their actual website. Okay. And like, if they do, then it's usually like, here's the jobs that we're hiring for. Here's a contact form. Give us your name, right? Tell us, who you are, a little bit about you, and upload your resume. I just want to say, like, there's a number of things involved with getting this careers page right. First and foremost, you're aware, make it mobile friendly, right? Doesn't make any sense. But I've seen people with careers pages that when I look at it on my phone, the application form doesn't even populate because it's not mobile friendly, right? So mobile friendly is huge. The other side of this is there's some key pieces of content that you'd want on the page. Why work for us? If you've got review testimonials from your employees, definitely put those on there. Like it's essentially everything you would do for customer marketing, do it on your careers page, right? Lay on social proof, right? These are reviews, actual reviews embedded from Facebook or wherever from our employees, right? I'm this person, I've been working with this company for so long, and here's what I have to say about, that and working for the company. So lay on the social proof, why would you want to come work for us? What we offer you, here are our job openings, here's what you'd be doing, here's what you would, love the most, or what our customers, or I'm sorry, what our employees say they love the most about, this particular job, all of the above, right? And then, have a mobile friendly application form, right? It doesn't have to be super advanced. In fact, what I would recommend is less is more, right? Less is best. Let you cough. Less is more, right? Less is best. Make sure it's a really short and simple and easy process. So, don't put a whole lot of questions in there. Like, don't put all of your screener questions and all your interview questions and everything. Like, you know what I mean? Just make it easy on them. Like, don't ask for social security numbers. Don't ask, for, former employers and that kind of stuff. Just ask simple questions that are direct and easy to answer and quick to answer, right? So, obviously name, contact information so you can follow up with them. But, ask, as a for instance, if you needed somebody who has a valid and active driver's license, don't just ask, do you have a valid and active driver's license? Ask, what is the status of your driver's license, as an example. Let them answer that however they want. Ask if you need experience or a license or something like that. Ask, how many years of experience do you have in plumbing, or what type of license do you have? You see where we're going with that. And then about 80 to 90% of these that I see require a resume, like upload your resume. I've got some opinions on that, but here's the thing. Over half the internet traffic out there is mobile. Like, that. So you have to cater to that, right? And it's only growing, right? The mobile internet traffic is only growing. So you have to cater to that, even with your careers page. So how many people have a resume on their phone?
Good point.
I don't have one on my phone. Yeah. So, and I have opinions about requiring resumes. It's a huge hurdle to get through. Like I said, especially if you're on your phone, you definitely don't have it. So they're going to be less likely to apply simply because of that. So if you're smart, right? If you want more conversions through that, don't require a resume in the form. Just ask the most essential screener questions and how to follow up with them. Get the lead, then talk to them, right? If you feel like they're worth talking to based on the screener questions.
Awesome, man. So,
huge. Yeah. I'm giving it all away.
I know. And so, Jimmy asked, do you have any examples? So Jimmy is going to share in just a second his, he's going to give you basically like the perfect job posting. So, he's going to share that in just a minute. Yeah. So, and you can take that and kind of manipulate that to put it a little bit on the website for your careers page. So, the basics are have a freaking careers page on your website, because
have it.
A lot of people don't. So that's an interesting point, because when somebody's out there looking for a job, they're going to start Googling around local, if they're a master plumber, they're looking for a new job, they're going to start Googling around for like plumbing jobs. And if you don't have that page on your site, you're never going to have the opportunity to show up, because Google's never going to rank you. And you're just missing that opportunity. And obviously from our standpoint, we can talk all day about SEO and pay-per-click and driving and stuff
SEO
like that.
And pay-per-click, yeah.
So one of the cool things that since I've known Patrick and we've had some mutual clients, I didn't even really think about this a couple years ago, but people go to Google and search plumbing jobs or plumber jobs in this
They
certain
do.
city. And
Yeah.
so optimizing that careers page, utilizing just a little bit of SEO. And since very few people in your market are doing it, it's relatively easy to get
You're going
ranked.
to stand out
Yeah,
pretty
it's
fast.
easy to get ranked to
Yeah,
the
you're going
top.
to stand out
And
really
the more
fast.
content you have on that page, the higher you're going to rank. And then also, Patrick had mentioned, run some pay-per-click ads. You know, if you're already running pay-per-click, which everybody, at least that I've seen on here, if you own a service company, you're probably running paid in some way, shape, or form. Run a little bit of pay-per-click around some keywords like plumbing jobs, HVAC jobs in your certain area, and drive them to that page. So make sure you have all those pieces that Patrick talked about on there, and then drive people
Yeah,
to it.
absolutely.
So
Yeah. Well, and a lot of people, they think, okay, well, I got to go and get on Indeed, or I got to get on, Monster or Career Builder or whatever. Like, they are all essentially a search engine, right? Like, if you looked at plumber jobs in your market right now, I guarantee like one of the first few things that are going to pop up is Indeed,
yeah,
right? Or something like, I mean, and that's all they're doing, right? I mean, they're using Google, which is the world's largest search engine, right, as a way of marketing their jobs on their site. You can do the exact same thing, right? So it's on a smaller scale, but here's what I know for a fact, okay? And we've tested this, and we know, like, the guys in this industry, right? The technicians and the plumbers and the electricians and all those guys would much prefer to apply directly to a company versus through an employment agency. And that's what you see a lot of out there on Indeed, right? Other staffing companies, other recruiters, right? Getting, your job out there, primarily because they think, look, I've got this template and I've tested all this stuff, and I know that I can get better results than you, right? So they go and they, on your behalf, they post your jobs on the sites. So yeah, like I said, I mean, guys are much more likely to apply to your job directly with the company, being that you're the employer, than give up their personal information to a recruiter who's going to share it with 15,000 other agencies across the United States. And then suddenly, because, I mean, let's face it, these guys are in high demand, right? So, and they know that. So when they give their information up to a recruiter, the recruiter is going to share it with every single client that they have from the East Coast to the West Coast. And then before you know it, this poor technician has 15,000 emails that he's going to have to respond to about guys that are like, hey, I'd like to hire you right now. So yeah, with that in mind, you have every opportunity to create your own job page, right? Every opportunity to essentially create your own job site on your website. Drive SEO, drive pay-per-click, and we can help with remarketing, right? Even to just continue the overall strategy.
Awesome, man. So we're going to wrap up now. If you have, so here's how we're going to do this. If you have questions that we haven't answered already, post them in the comments right now. Patrick, I'm going to have you share the how to get the job template, and Lo, get ready for this. And if you wouldn't mind, post it in the if you wouldn't mind just writing it down in the comments, that would be great. So Patrick, share how to get the perfect job. What are you calling it, or what do you call it?
It's I call it my PUB, PUBB strategy. So it just is an acronym. It stands for personable, urgent, beneficial, and brief, right? And that's the perfect template. And I expound upon that. I mean, like, that's 4 bullet points, but if you look at this thing, it's literally 12 pages. And I even include some extra special hints and bonus tips that we've learned over the last few years in recruiting for, plumbers and HVAC guys and electricians. But, specifically, like, how to avoid, applicants who lie, and, how to, call out more people and get better applicants.
Awesome, man. Share it. How do they get it?
Yep. Yeah. So the best way to get it is a simple text message. So everybody has texting on the phone, I would hope. But I can maybe, or Laura, somebody, put it in the comments. But if you text the acronym PUBB, right, PUB, PUBB, to the cell phone number is 260-204-0900. It's an automated thing. I love automated messaging. And by the way, that's another secret, right, to recruiting. You can set up automated text, right, between people. But anyway, text PUBB to 260-204-0900, and yeah, just need your name and your email, and I'll send it to you within 5 minutes
Awesome.
usually.
Cool. So do that. Lo will probably post it here, or somebody will post it down in the comments below, or we'll do it after this. So again, if you have any other questions we haven't answered, put them right now. I'm going to do a real quick recap, and then we're going to get out of here and let you guys go enjoy the rest of your night, or stay up until midnight posting on job boards and creating an About Us.
Posting
Like, come on.
jobs.
It's going to be awesome. So Patrick, I'm going to share the bullet points and the big takeaways that I got, and then tell me if I missed anything that you can think of. Here's the big bullet point, or the big takeaways that I got from this. Now is the time. Always be recruiting. You've got to invest that the time and the energy into creating a long-term strategy. You've got to put your brand out there. You've got to start attracting people. So even if you don't need somebody right now, or even if you don't need people for 6 months, you think, start doing this now. So create these little About Us videos, create the What It's Like to Work Here videos. Start doing it now, even if it's at a really, really basic level. Facebook ads are a good way to do it. Push that video out. Do some interest targeting. That's a good way to do it. Be proactive. Be proactive. Same thing. Start now. Don't wait until the last minute when you need it. Include or create some employee testimonials, things like that you can use on the website, things you can use on Facebook ads, an About Us video that we mentioned. And then when you get into, make sure that your content is really good. So when you're posting your job, make sure the content in that job posting is amazing and different than everybody else. That's the pub thing that Patrick is going to give to you. And then a couple things on the website. Make sure you have a careers page or a hiring page, a careers page on the website. Make sure it's mobile friendly. Make sure you test the freaking form. Make sure that you can actually make sure you can actually do it. And I would also agree with you not to request a resume, especially not on something where it's going to be primarily mobile friendly, and in an industry that a lot of people don't have resumes. I mean, you're not hiring based on that resume.
And let's just face it. Like, I want to share this one thing real quick. The ideal applicant, the ideal guy doesn't have an up-to-date resume, Like, let's just be honest about it. Like, I mean, the perfect guy is someone like, the employer, right? I mean, he's, an A/B personality, like he's outgoing, he's, all of this, right? Friendly, personable, well-spoken. I mean, that guy is not hurting for a job. You know what I'm saying? Like, so he likely doesn't have a resume. The guy who has like a perfect polished, resume is looking for a job. Right. So, I mean, there's a whole, mindset to that, but yeah, don't force it on them. As somebody said, less friction is better. You're going to get a lot more applicants that way. And you'll be a lot happier.
Cool. So that was my big takeaway. Any last takeaways, or should we let everybody go to bed and have their dinner?
I was going to say, I feel like I've given as much as I possibly can, I would like to know very specifically, like, what the people watching this have gotten out of it. Like, that's huge, like, so if you're watching this right now, whether it's live or on a replay, what have you personally gotten out of this? Like, what's the value that you're going to take away from this, and what are you going to do different with your job postings? Like, that's what I want to know. And I'm going to go back through here and I'll respond to comments and questions and stuff, but I really want to see that, just so I know that something stuck with somebody, you know what I'm saying? Like, we made a positive impact with this. That's what I'd like to see.
Well, if you didn't already get enough comments that proved that this was valuable, then I'm sure you're going to get a couple more after this. So, hey, look, thanks everybody so much for watching. I really hope this was extremely valuable. Like Patrick mentioned, post in the comments down below whatever else that either one of us can do to serve. So, just as a reminder, it's Patrick Aaron Long. We've had him on a couple different times, and he runs a company called BizPal. And they do recruiting. Shameless little plug for you there, brother. And obviously, I'm Steven with Wit Digital. We do the all kinds of different digital marketing for the home service industry. So anything you guys need, let us know. We're happy to help. And that's it, man. We're done. Have a great night, everybody. Cool.
Thank you very much. I had a lot of fun, and I'm glad that I was able to share some value points. And like I said, I really want to know, and I want to see what you guys are going to be doing and what you got out of this. And I'd love to see that we made a positive impact today. So thank you very much for having me.
Thanks so much for the time, man. I appreciate you. you're a badass, and just keep serving. So catch up with everybody soon.
Keep
Yeah.
rocking.
Have a great night.
Awesome. Take care.